Hello everyone, welcome to your fourth Adobe Illustrator tutorial, and well, you guys have been actually non-stop requesting this now, and I've been making a lot of videos lately, so I thought I would get the initiative and man up and record this. So no one really requested what kind of tutorial they wanted, so I created something that I wanted, and that was some cool pictures of me, I guess, well, just cartoon pictures in general. So the left is the original picture, is basically a still taken from a 1920 by 1080 video, scaled up a ton, which is why it's so blurry. As you can see, there's a lot of things in it I don't like, such as the blurriness, this random arm, and all these little smudges in the flash from the camera, as well as maybe this flag. So after going through Illustrator and doing some editing, I created this cartoonish version. Basically, I traced over everything in specific colors. If you look at it, just from a distance, it looks pretty interesting and awesome at the same time. But if you look up closely, it just kind of looks weird. So, I mean, basically what it's composed of is some shape layers that I traced over and a background layer with some cool effects I applied. So, I'll go ahead and show you the Illustrator file I used for it. It's actually just composed of layers, and I'm going to show you today how to do this. And yeah, I thought it would be a pretty fun tutorial to do. So basically we have these layers, so we can turn off individual elements and whatnot. If I just want to look like, let's just remove like the goggles and these little fake highlights. Oh, look at me now. So anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. So the first thing you need to do is select a picture, and I'm just going to use that same picture again, which is right here. Actually, we could do a different picture, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. So what we're going to do is go to File, New, and we're just going to create a standard one, which letter, whatever, OK. And we're going to go to File, Place, and we're going to place our picture down, and yeah, so change the order, so it should be an IMG. Here it is, MIV. Okay, so in this one, I'm going to do the same exact thing, just only a little different. I'm just going to cut me out, of course, because I'm selfish. Okay, so you might be wondering, we have all this excess. I mean, this is not pretty. So we'll get rid of that later, because we might want to keep in some of the details, or we can do it now, I guess, if we want. But this would just be the easiest. So we can just create a square around the artboard here, filling up these black lines we see. Select them both and slice make. Just kidding. Clipping mask make. So now, using that clipping mask, you can still see if we mouse over, we have that. Just ignore that. But we have our nice, perfectly thing. So once again, just create a thing, a nice rectangle over it. Select them both, object, and then clipping mask. So, alright, so let's get started. There's a few panels I would like to open up, so we'll go to Window, Layer, which will just show us all of our layers we're about to make. And actually, it's good. The main components we're going to be using for this are the eyedropper tool and the pen tool. Now, the great thing about this method is because you're making a vector file, you can really get away with some good stuff and make it look good. So I plan on making the cap, the goggles, a little baby mouth, a little baby nose, the nipples, the belly button, and the jammers. Everything else, including this little block here, I'm going to get out of the way. So let's go and get started. We'll select the pen tool, but first we're going to click on this fill, and we're going to get our eyedropper tool. We'll work on the cap first. We'll just pick the yellow color. It's not always going to look the same when you actually do it, but when you select the color. But we'll take the pen tool, zoom in and get to work. Quick tip, if you have a shape like this, start from over here, otherwise you'll run into some issues. So just clicking and dragging will create these nice curves. If we hold down space whilst we're clicking and dragging, we can move the spot itself. You can see as we're filling this in, it's going to give us our points already. And you can see we're going to get some weird twisting going on right there. Just ignore that. When we finish the shape, it's going to all look really nice. Well, hopefully. And, you know, the more time you spend on this, or sometimes even the less time you spend, the better it will look. Such as my original example, I spent very few time on that. So, there's that. I'm going to make this a little bit brighter of yellow because, well, it should be. Maybe that's a little too bright. It's really hard to find the good cartoony look. And then the next step is to go to Window, Stroke. We're going to pop that out of here. And we're going to change the weight to 1. We'll mess around with that later. But most cartoonish things have really thick outlines and whatnot. So, next step is bring down your layers. We're going to turn that off so we can focus on the next part. Let's go ahead and make the goggles. We can just pick that. It's not a full black color, but it's pretty close. So, we'll just estimate here. We're going to make full-on black goggles because I have found that these yellow highlights that are right there are very difficult to make look decent. And you can see here they're kind of a greenish color because there's different types of like shading and lighting affecting that. Okay, so if you're going to run into a problem like this where you can't see where you're going to be going, go ahead and get the regular selection tool, select your thing, go up here and change the opacity down to like 20. And now you'll be able to see this and work with it. And when you get your pen tool back, make sure you click on your newest path here with this little dash mark. So we can just keep working on that. And instead of just finishing it like that, we can actually click, drag, and still get our little Bezier curve. And then we can go back, select it, and bring up our opacity back to 100%. Now you might be wondering, am I going to use a black stroke for this outline? I mean, it's just going to look the same. No, I actually went with a light gray. It's very subtle, but it seemed to do the job. So now you can see we have this. What we're going to do is put the goggles underneath the cap. That way it kind of is an overlapping feature there. The next thing I'm going to work on is the lips. So lips, I'm just going to... It's a really weird thing I did for the lips. Basically, I picked the bottom color, and then I did a mask for the entire thing. And then we could move this up a little bit with our direct selection tool. And then I turn that off. And then I pick the top color, which is usually a little bit darker based on shading. Pick a darker pixel there. And just do the top, or at least try, because you know it's pretty rough to see, but it'll do the job. Turn them back on. And make sure they don't overlap oddly like they currently are. And there's your lips. Don't forget your outlines. Make sure they're black. And, you know, with lips, since they're a little bit smaller, we could actually go with like a 0.5 stroke instead of a full-on 1. And those are some nice lips. Alright, the next step is we're going to make a really little simple thing for the nose here. Because of the angle, it's really hard to see, but we'll just make them pick whip that and make it a lot darker. Did I say pick whip? That's an After Effects term. We'll just eyedrop them. And this one's going to need to be really small. I like the style of this like really pig-like nose. It really brings out the body. And then next we have the nipples. I hope I don't get like a really bad rating just for saying the word nipples in this. I mean, they're just nipples. We'll make them an orangish color. And we can make them as big as we want. This is a very unhealthy nipple color. Perhaps it's an artistic thing. No, I'm gonna make these a little bit nicer looking. I mean, nipples are like a pinkish color, so we're gonna keep it that way. Copy that numerical value there with Control C, and oops, I hate that. Go into this and paste that. And there we have our nipples with our little 0.5 stroke there. Alright. This is looking very good. I gotta say, it's my best work. Just because I'm gonna go and do the body last because it's probably the most interesting part to do. We have one more quick little thing to do here. Just a quick little belly button area. I feel really narcissistic right now making this video, but whatever. 0.5, and there's our belly button. I love the color changes here. Okay, so you can notice there's a brand name here. It actually says Dolphin. And we have the jammers, and there's also these green design. We're just gonna simplify everything because this is a cartoon look. We want everything completely simplified. So we'll just go pure black for the main part, and we'll cut that out right now. And then what we're gonna do is select the green part and paint that out ourselves and just lay that over. Now we're gonna get down to this thing. We're just gonna estimate here, and yeah, because for the most part they do the same thing. Alright, so there's that. They're nice thick black color. Go ahead and turn that off. And we're going to select this green color now, which actually looks pretty accurate. And you can see there's the main thing here. And just finish that off. We're going to make assumptions again for where it goes. And once again, we can't see up here, so we'll reduce the opacity. And get back up on here. Realize this is also a very rushed version of how to do this. I mean, I'm not putting a ton of detail into it, so I'm not going to do this strip over here. It can be just a one-sided thing. And we turn that on. Sometimes if you actually let stuff overlap, it seems to give it a nice taste, artistic look to it. But this is what we're looking like so far. We're going to go down here with the direct selection tool, or the A shortcut, and we're just going to line these up. Select that, bring it down. Usually I have snap to grid on, which really helps. View, snap to point, actually, not to grid. And we're just lining these up here. I'm going to make them push out a little bit because no one's going to know. No one knows anything about swimming. Okay, so that looks good. Fix this one last point here. Okay, so now the last part is to work on the skin. I like to work like with this in layers, usually separating the body and the head. So we're going to turn off all these other layers first. And get our skin color. It's going to give us a pretty gross color at first, so I'm actually going to sample something from the face where it's rather pinkish color on the nose. And let's zoom in, start cutting ourselves out. And we can go underneath these jammers because they're going to be layered underneath. Okay, gonna reduce the opacity to 20. This will also be under the swim cap here, so we can overlap happily. That's the nice thing is, yeah. Okay, we're gonna cut off at the neck here, Just rise back up here. Okay. And heading back down the armpit area. Masks are the most beautiful thing invented by anyone. FYI. Adobe, you are geniuses. Okay, so now that's done. Back to 100%. And we need to move that way down. Underneath the cap and goggles even. And now, we're going to take that same color, go a little bit lighter and more skin-like, and put it on the head. The actual head. So the head's going to go underneath, so we can really kind of just blob it out. I know it looks horrible, but just watch this. Put this underneath. And let's go and turn everything on. Oh yeah. Look at that, beautiful. Let's go ahead and change the color of the skin here, because it's a little bit sick looking. Look at that. We're just missing a few things here. Strokes. Stroke weights. Look how beautiful humans are. Look at that. I love that, don't you? It's just beautiful. Now the last thing to do is there's a few things to get a cool background. Like as you saw in the other example, all you have to do for this is go to Google, type in swimming background. I won't use the same one I just used, but go to images, of course, and I don't know. I'll actually try and find a legit one, because most of these are like dogs or penguins. This one looks cool. View original image. Oh. Okay. Don't let me. Actually, that doesn't matter. We don't need the full version. We don't need the full thing. So we'll just save the image as. And then we're going to do the same thing we did before. We're going to place the image in the background. So place. And this will add it to our layers. So place. You can see it's super small, which, you know, would bug most people, but we're already going to be pretty much pixelating this whole thing, so it really doesn't matter. We're going to move this to the back here. We're going to turn off our actual image, and with this thing selected, we're going to go to Effect, Pixelate, and Crystallize. And as you can see, if we change this up, we get our cool effect. But that picture looks like poop, so I'm going to delete it and place the actual one I used, which was really cool. Place. Yeah, this one's legit. So I did the same thing with this, except because it wasn't horribly blurry, it actually worked. So Effect, Crystallize. You can just preview it, click OK. Crystallizes the whole thing. And we'll move it down here. And once again, we're going to do that whole clipping mask thing. So just make a solid here. Yeah. And then we're going to Control A so we can select all. Object, clipping mask, make. Look how beautiful we are. Look at that. I'm going to export that right now. That's going to be the thumbnail. Well, something like that will be the thumbnail. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. You can also apply this to actual videos if you export each frame by frame, but that would be a little bit of a pain in the butt. But as you can see, you can create some very awesome looking artistic looks, nice nipples and belly buttons, and yeah, we will see you guys next time. If you have any requests for Illustrator tutorials or anything else, put them in the comments, and subscriptions are appreciated. Thank you, and see you guys later.